Okay.
That will be sent to you.
Okay.
I hope you can see the screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Just waiting for a couple of people to join.
Okay, okay. Is it okay? I'll be leaving the meeting in half an hour.
Well, we will continue the session. It's up to you how much of content you want to absorb is all up to you, right?
Okay.
Should we continue? Is there somebody? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm actually, there's one more person called Great Logics. Just wanted to confirm if we can continue, start the session, or what's going on. Hey, Shravante. Just a couple of minutes more and we'll have that started.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope everybody can hear me all right. Hi. Okay. So it's been 15 minutes past the scheduled time. So we've been just waiting for a couple of people. I think all of us here. Okay. I hope you can see my screen. Let me share it now. Can you see my screen? You can put your confirmation on the chat or speak up. Okay, great. So with that, let's go ahead with the first day of AWS. Today we will go through the introduction of Amazon Web Services as to why that is so much famous in the environment today. Before we go ahead, I'll give a brief introduction about myself. I'm not sure if everybody attended the first demo session, but just for the benefit of people who did not attend, I'm Anand, and I will be your AWS trainer for the next couple of sessions. Um, I've been in IT for over 14 years now, working on various areas of identity and access management, databases, and cloud. On the cloud platform specifically, I've been there for 5 years, working on Azure and Amazon Web Services quite a lot. Um, Architected and designed hybrid solutions for the organizations. I travel a lot, keeping in mind the kind of job that I hold. So with that note, you can ask any of your questions just by unmuting yourself. Feel free to interrupt. That's okay. Or if you don't like to interrupt, you can put your question in the chat. The chat screen is open right in front of me, so I'm constantly monitoring it. Yeah. So I would rather prefer that we circle around and get a brief introduction about yourself as well. I see there are a couple of people who joined here, Sagar, Shanti, Shilpa, Shravanti. So we'll just circle around and what I want to understand is your background as well as what your expectations from the training are. So I can set up the training accordingly. So we start with Sagar. Sagar, are you there? Okay. Shanti, you there?
Hi.
Hello, hi. So I was,
Recently, last year at Gartner, as in, do you hear me?
I do. Please go ahead.
Yes, information system graduated. So further, I'm looking for the job. So this is the I heard for Amazon Web Services. I heard that's based on also in the it is also database.
Right, right.
So and today is my first class for this. I haven't met any demo,
Okay,
but I have your recording.
okay. Amazon Web Services is just not about database. It's about entire infrastructure.
Cloud.
When I say IT infrastructure, it's about your machines, it's about your servers, it's about your databases, servers, networks, routers, switches, everything. It's all in one solution for the entire IT infrastructure piece. So earlier what used to happen is if you had to set up IT infrastructure, you had to spend a lot of money to purchase those equipments, and that's where um, companies capex would increase, the capital expenditure used to increase, and now to cut down the costs, people eventually move down or slide away from traditional infrastructure to the cloud infrastructure, and that's where AWS comes into picture. So AWS is not just about databases, it's about everything that can
Everything.
exist in IT. Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm pretty sure.
Also,
Go ahead, please.
can I answer one more question? Is AWS is when it is started?
AWS. started in 90s. It started with Amazon as a company who initially used to sell just the books, and it was a store where they just used to sell books and stationery. But slowly moving forward, they realized that they had to expand their IT infrastructure, and that's where they eventually started for themselves. And slowly, when they realized that it's going to be beneficial for the other community as well, they started selling them.
I mean, since when did it happen? I mean, the year of
2000,
they started this company.
approximately 2005.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next person. Sagar, are you back? Can you hear us? Sagar? Shilpa?
Yes, sir. Hi, sir. This is Shilpa. Actually, I'm from AC stream. It's been like 8 years. I did my engineering. Then later, no jobs, nothing else. So this is my first step into IT. I have no idea anything regarding IT.
Oh, wow. Have you heard of what IP addresses are?
I do, but I need to do a hard work in that to know more about that. I'm not perfect in anything like in IT.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Um, okay. Well, mm, do you know what
Uh, I,
databases
I,
are?
I
What
was
is a
just,
storage?
yes, I do, little bit.
Okay, okay. All right. So this will really be a lab intensive class. It's for everybody. It's really a lab intensive class. It's not a regular theory session. You really may have to do a lot of labs and practice, and especially from the people who are not in the IT background. They have to do a lot of labs, a lot of research themselves, read a lot of documentation. In fact, what I'm saying is that you need to spend a lot of time with AWS documentation on the internet. So if this is your passion and this is where you want to go, you have to invest your time in learning it. So especially for people from non-IT background, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's gonna be possible only if you put efforts. I mean, this 1 hour will be a session, that's fine, but somebody who's non-IT background should go back and apply these concepts for another 3 to 4 hours, do their own research, and come back with questions the next day. Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Okay. 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 Shravanti?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just want to hear from you as well as to what your expectations from the training are. So we take forward and your background as well.
Okay. Uh, I'm doing my master's in electrical engineering from Wright State. I'm done with my engineering last year. I'm a 2015 pass out, and now so I don't have any kind of experience in any jobs. And regarding IT, I don't know much about it. In fact, I don't know anything about it. So I don't even know what is an IP address. I mean, I know that it is every internet has some unique address, but I don't know much about this.
Okay. 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 Um. All right. Sagar, are you back? You still there with us? You don't want to talk? I really want this to be an interactive session, so people with headsets and mic, I want them to talk, interrupt, so that's the only way you will get a lot of clarity.
I'm sorry, I need to leave. I'll listen to the recorded session.
No problem. Thank you. All right. So with that note, we'll go ahead and start off with the introduction of AWS and the web architecture. So why do customers choose AWS? What is AWS all about? The buzzword. It's all about cloud. So when we talk about cloud computing, we're talking about IT services in the cloud. And is cloud computing new? Cloud computing is not new. It's been there ever since the evolution of internet. Yeah. Ever since we have been using emails, ever since we have been putting our pictures, our videos in the cloud. It's been there since ever. But it's just that we have not used it so much in the enterprise or in the organizational environment. So it really cut down the cost. So if we think that um, I mean, we do not put our photographs or videos in our computer. Rather, we choose it to put it on the internet in our safe drives like a Dropbox with a password, or you sync it up with your Google, because your computer may not have so much of storage, isn't it? So slowly, over the course of time, or for in a year or so, it's slowly gonna fill up your hard disk, isn't it? So it's easier to sync up the text files, sync up the videos, sync up the pictures, everything to the cloud, and let it take care of our data. That ways we save a lot of resources on our computer. So eventually it's all about moving your existing infrastructure to the cloud. When I say infrastructure, it's all about your resources that are there on the computer, your memory, the hard disk, the processing computational capabilities, all of that will just move on to the cloud. So I'm not at all using the computational capacities of the laptop or the phone, right? In a similar fashion, when we talk about a larger scale, the enterprises or the companies would prefer that they have their IT infrastructure in the cloud, so they do not have to invest anything initially, right? They just have to pay as they go. Utility computing. What is utility computing? Hey Sagar, I see you. Your mic is on. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm sorry, actually, I didn't see that.
Okay.
So
No problem.
now I'm able to. I mean, I don't find the option actually.
Okay.
So, well, yeah. You want me to introduce myself, or like the end of the class? You want me to tell?
No, that's fine. It's just been one slide that's been through. It's better to know you now.
Well, yeah. So I'm done masters here, and currently I'm working for some project. My background is like computer science,
Mm-hmm.
in the bachelor's and masters itself,
Okay.
and I'm working as a Unix admin.
Okay.
I'm working on various operating systems like IBM AX, Solaris, Linux,
Uh-huh. That's
and
awesome.
currently I'm learning AWS
Mm-hmm.
through Udemy. So we have some online sites.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I hope. Yeah, we started learning the AWS.
Okay.
I just completed a couple of slides, but basic idea.
Uh-huh.
So just terminology, and I'm just learning that.
Okay.
This class gonna be helpful more. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Have you created an account for yourself in AWS in Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. Have you created instances?
So we need to pay the money, right, for that? I just took one Red Hat server and I tried to install some software on that, but I just stopped in that point itself.
Okay.
So I just took, yeah, I have the account,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not using much account actually. So I didn't create any instances. I didn't do anything else. I
Mm-hmm.
just started, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you have created an instance in AWS.
No, I didn't create.
Okay. Okay. You did not. Okay. Well, yeah, you have to pay money initially, and that's how you will learn. And if you learn it by practicing, you will be able to crack interviews, and that's going to give you more money, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I started now. So once I get familiar with the AWS concepts, then I just practice in the AWS in the account itself. So we'll take the servers and we can install the instances and do all those stuff. Right before doing that, I need to know how to do it and all those stuff.
The good thing is that you're not spending your money in AWS, you're investing the money. So slowly as you invest, you will get returns, and the return will be knowledge, and you can take it back and apply in your life, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I hope you were able to hear us so far, yeah? Your
Yeah,
headset was working. Okay. Okay, so I'll continue
it's good
from
now.
where we
Yeah.
left. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for waiting for me. Yeah, you guys like so a long time, and you called me a couple of times.
Yeah,
I really apologize for that, but I didn't
that's
see
fine.
that actually. Well,
No
thank you
problem.
so much for that. Yeah.
No problem. I think from tomorrow you know where to click and what to do, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I'm using first time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't have much knowledge about this. Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're talking about utility computing. They have compared. When I said they, it's AWS. They have compared the computing in Amazon Web Services with utility. What are utilities? Utilities is your electricity bill, the water bills, anything that you pay as you go, and as and when demand exists, you will get the bills, isn't it? So you do not have to pay the electricity bill once in a year for the whole year, or even the telephone bills for that matter. You pay depending on how much you use. Cloud computing is no different. Cloud computing, when you set up IT infrastructure or databases in the cloud, or you put websites in the cloud, or you go ahead and set up a server in the cloud, you pay only as much as you used it, not for the entire server. But in traditional computing, when you set up your data centers, you have to procure the rack, you have to procure the servers, you have to get the electricity sorted out, then you have to get the internet connections from your internet service provider. All of that needs to be done, and that takes up a lot of money and revenue, or initial investments from the company will go on. It's what is called as capex. Capex, CAPEX. So let me, yeah, it's called as capex. So I'm just wondering, how do I send a message to you?
Capital expenditure.
Right, right. How do I send this message? I'm looking at the chat screen. Mm, okay, whatever. Um, okay, right. So let's write it here. Okay, it's funny. Yeah. So it's called as capex, which is called as capital expenditure. So anything that you invest initially is called as capex. So for example, you're purchasing a house, you need to do something as down payment. Same goes true for a bike or something. Yeah, you need to purchase it, put that initial money into the equipment that you're purchasing. That is capex. But slowly, as you keep on using it, your electricity bills, your telephone bills, fuel costs, maintenance, all of them is called as opex, which is operational expenditure. Now, the main purpose of moving from your traditional data centers to the cloud data centers is to cut down on the capex, and then take benefit of operational expenditures. So they do not have to invest a lot on the initial setup of the data centers. Take a look at the startups. You will see a lot of startups coming up these days with an idea, and they do not have a lot of funds but have an idea to develop a certain platform. For them, then what they need is a server, maybe with high GPU and high graphics, high computational capabilities and CPU, RAM, etc., and that will cost like $6,000 to $7,000, and it's really becomes very expensive for startup companies to invest so much on a piece of equipment, right? Rather, they will prefer to rent it out, right? It's easier to rent a house, it's easier to rent a cab than purchasing a car. So that's the whole concept behind cloud computing. We are renting our servers, renting the databases. So that's where you just pay for what you're using, and exactly for the resources that have been consumed so far. Yeah. So there is something called as APIs. API stands for Application Programming Interfaces. So what that does, as far as cloud computing is concerned, is that it connects various applications to the cloud so that you can fetch information and it's like put and get. You can retrieve information from the cloud, you can apply and put information inside the cloud and modify your IT infrastructure accordingly. Cloud computing is on demand, it is secure, it can be monitored. So there are 5 key characteristics of cloud computing. These 5 key characteristics include one of them. Where does it say screen is paused? Move this window away. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are actually 5 key characteristics of cloud computing that I was talking about. There are so many cloud vendors in the market these days. So Amazon is one of them, of course, and then there is Azure, Microsoft Azure. Azure is from Microsoft. Then there is Rackspace, DigitalOcean. Then there are other companies as well which they are fighting for their space in the cloud. Like you got Computer Associates, CSC, IBM. Everybody is fighting for their space, want to be in the top as far as cloud computing is concerned. But then everybody, all of those cloud vendors must have the 5 key characteristics, regardless of what vendor you're using. Number one is that it should be on demand. When I say on demand, it means that you must be able to use it and apply it when you need it. You can add or delete users at your will. You should be able to change storage, change the network, change the software as needed. You must have access to the services. Even if there is a power outage, it should be available to you. So that's on demand. So a business will secure cloud hosting services through cloud host provider. Amazon is a provider. We are the customers. Companies, enterprises are the customers. So you have access to your services and you will have power to change cloud services through online control panel. So the cloud vendor should give you an online control panel for you to add users, add storage, modify software, whatever is required. Right? That is the first characteristic. The second characteristic is it should have broad network access. It means that you should be able to access it from your smartphones, from your tablets, laptops, office computers, regardless of the kind of device that you're using, you should be able to access it through the network. So they can use these devices wherever they are located with a simple online access point or a wireless. The mobility is very important. The third point is resource pooling. What it means is that the cloud vendor or Amazon or Azure, anybody, when I say cloud vendor, it could be anybody. Anybody who's selling cloud services. A cloud vendor enables your employees to enter and use data within the business management software from any time, from any location, from anywhere. Yeah, that should be kind of feature. The fourth one is rapid elasticity, which means that the cloud should be flexible and scalable. It should be flexible and scalable to suit your immediate business needs. Giving you an example about this, on a Christmas day or New Year, there is a sudden burst of online traffic on the shopping websites. There's a lot of traffic that goes there. And the rest of the year, it doesn't happen at all. and only during festival times there is a sudden burst of network traffic onto the websites. The traffic may be so much that the servers may need 10 times their computational capacities. So a web server, let's say some shopping website called, let's say, x.com or ebay.com, yeah, ebay.com has a server, a web server about 4 GB RAM or whatever, let's say 8 GB RAM with a Xeon processor with 2 terabytes of hard disk or something, right? But when there is a sudden spike of traffic during the festival time and there are a lot of people shopping at that time, then that computational capacities may not be sufficient. eBay may have to procure some more servers and invest thousands of dollars in just buying new servers. But keep in mind that that traffic is just for a day or maybe for that week, after which your investment just lies in the dust. It's not gonna be beneficial to anybody at all till the time there's a next spike, right? So your investment is just lying there. Consider even your laptops or desktops for that matter, the ones that you procure or purchase, 4 GB of RAM or 8 GB of RAM with so much of processing capabilities. Do we ever use 100% of it? But we have invested on the entire 4 GB. Investment is 100% there on the 4 GB or 8 GB which you purchased, right? But we never use 100% of it. Rapid elasticity helps you scale up and scale down as and when there is a demand. So automatic provision of resources. So the 8 GB of RAM, what will happen is during a spike, the 8 GB of RAM will automatically burst up to 16 GB, may also burst up to 32 GB when there is so much of spike of network traffic. And when there is not so much of traffic, it just gets down from 32 GB to 16 and back to 8 and back to 4. So you pay only on demand. So rapidly increasing the resources, scaling up as well as scaling down is rapid elasticity. Any questions so far?
I'm good. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Shilpa, Shanti, any questions? Okay. Now, the last feature is measured service. Anything that you purchase must be measured, right? Going back to the cloud, you only pay for what you use, but how would you know what you have used? So you and the cloud provider should be able to measure the storage levels, should be able to measure the processing, it should be able to measure the bandwidth and the number of user accounts, and based on which the billing should happen appropriately. There should not be any mistake over there. Yeah. So measured service, everything that you purchase in the cloud must be measured. The amount of resources that you may use can be monitored and controlled from both your sides and your cloud provider side, which provides transparency. So there should be transparency between the user and the cloud provider. I just muted everybody. Just in case, if you have a question, please unmute yourself and ask, just to cut down on the background noise. Moving on to the next slide, why do customers choose AWS? By this time you know why do we choose cloud computing, and the reason why we use AWS is because AWS is in the top of the Gartner chart, and the chart is something that we'll look at in a minute. So it is in the top of the Gartner chart primarily because of the number of services and the quality of services that they provide. This is an important section here. That is a world map that you see. On the world map, you got the orange section and the blue sections. Yeah. All of those are the data centers or the regions where Amazon has their data centers provisioned. So if somebody in Asia Pacific can set up their data centers in Singapore, Sydney, Mumbai, Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing, so those are the areas where let me just can I, yeah, okay. So those are the physical geographical regions where Amazon has set up their data centers. In US, they have the regions in the in the west coast and in the east coast. There are two geographical regions in the east coast, and in the west coast they got two. Out of those two, one of them is specifically for the government. As you see, AWS Gov Cloud, that is only for the government. Yeah, there are more regions that they're coming up with. It keeps on increasing. Apart from the regions, they also got edge locations. Edge locations are primarily used for caching purposes to make the user experience better and faster. Yeah. So those are the edge locations. There are lots of edge locations throughout the world. Some of them are hired, some of them are owned by AWS. So an edge location is where you will have your content delivered and it's primarily used to reduce the latency. So for example, you got a website developed um, in the North America region, but that website is supposed to be used by all the users geographically. So what you will do is deploy the main site in the main region, one of those regions that you choose, and rest of them will have edge locations for caching purposes, and that will in turn reduce latency. So there are lots of things that Amazon does. Could be from the technical and business perspective. There's a marketplace. A marketplace is is a software repository or kind of a place where you can simply download applications. You can also use those instances or images into your existing instance. We'll see that slowly when we do practicals as to how do we use marketplace and what is the purpose of them. AWS has been constantly innovating year on year and has a lot of patents in place as well, in terms of computing, storage, networking, analytics, big data, deployment, mobile, monitoring solutions. AWS has been on the top on each of these areas and provided more than 70 services in each of those ranges. So there is a constant innovation. Okay, there's a question here on the chat box. Shilpa wants us to repeat on the edge locations. Edge locations are places where they cache information, which means that they are storing information. I was giving an example of a website. So for example, if you have a website hosted in the East Coast, but then that website is meant to be used by users who are geographically located everywhere, but for you it's not possible for you to host the website everywhere. So what you have to do is host the website in one single location, and rest of the locations will cache the website. They will store the website. So instead of spending lots and lots of money on setting up duplicate servers in various locations, you would instead cache it. You will cache your video files, you cache your pictures, all of them in AWS edge locations using a service called as AWS CloudFront. And that way you'll still be able to manage your environment, but also deliver to the users via closer location that is closer to them. So your website in East Coast must be accessed by a user who is located in Hong Kong or Shanghai. So the latency will come into picture. The pictures will start to buffer. The videos will start to buffer if you do not have a caching location. If you cache your location or cache your data in a separate geographical location, then it will be easier and the user will feel less latency. Is that clear? Okay, great. Just a minute. I need to plug in the laptop charger. It's just dying. Give me a minute, please. Thanks, everybody. So a lot of companies are actually concerned with the security model that AWS follows. Yeah. Um, is my data secure? Is my video secure? Is my picture secure? That's okay. But what about my PII information, which is personally identifiable information? Let's say a banking company goes to the cloud. I will have all my information there. The credit card information, specifically the CVV number, the expiry date, the names. Um, so people are really worried that what will happen to the data security if it goes to the cloud? Who's the owner of it? Yeah. Um, AWS is constantly improvising on security baselines on each of those centers or each of those regions by getting certifications. So these are the top level certifications in the states. Um, there's one specific one which I say FedRAMP, which is from the federal government itself, that stamps it and marks it as highly secure. Other certifications that the AWS goes through is CSA, which is Cloud Security Alliance. There is FISMA, there is HIPAA. So let's say an insurance company wants to keep all the data in the cloud, or a hospital wants to keep all the data in the cloud. Now data is so much important and critical that if it gets into the wrong hands, then it will have really brutal impact on that organization. It can be totally sued down. So it's important that the data that is being stored in the cloud is secure with various parameters and certifications that AWS goes through, so people don't have to worry about their data as it is secure over there. Security is done in terms of networking, security in databases, security in computational capabilities, and security in each of those availability zones and regions and edge locations is prevalent. So AWS is following certain standards, or Amazon is following certain standards, getting themselves certified on all of those standards to ensure that the data is secure. As the bottom right hand line says, that AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud. That is a big statement for a company to give. It is taking the responsibility of of your data, which is stored in the cloud or in their cloud. Marketplaces, I was talking about marketplaces. There are so many partners over there. To give you a simple example of marketplace, um, Sagar, can you hear me? Sagar, Sagar, can you hear me? Can everybody else hear me? Can you hear me? Am I lost? Okay,
We
okay,
can hear you.
okay. Yeah, Sagar, so I got your message that you're not able to hear, so that's why I was worried. Yeah, okay. Okay. I was talking about marketplace where let's say you have to deploy an HR application for your human resources in your organization, right? That should take care of the employees going in and out, and that should also integrate with your payroll applications. It should also integrate with your IT department as and when a new employee comes in, they should get a laptop. So there's a whole lot of integration going on there. Yeah. To set something like that, you need a server, maybe a couple of servers. You also need application. So you go to that website, hr.com or something, and download the software, install it on your machine, and that takes a lot of time. And then what you also have to do is pay for those licenses, isn't it? Marketplace, or the entire purpose of marketplace, is to simplify the software license management. So what you do here is simply go to the marketplace and then deploy a machine or deploy an instance out of it. As soon as you deploy an instance, you are done with procuring the machine, you're done with installing the software, no license costs at all. I'm not saying that you're getting it for free, because the cost of the virtual machine has the licensing cost included. So and you can pay per hour or per month or on annual basis. So that is a small example that I gave as far as marketplace is concerned, but there are just tons and tons of applications in Amazon Marketplace that you can simply procure. Say, for example, Salesforce or HR application or um, firewall can be pushed using AWS Marketplace. So once you have your account created, I suggest that you go and look at the AWS Marketplace and explore that. Is that clear? You know what a marketplace is now, Sagar? Okay. I still need to get confirmation from two more people. You know what a marketplace is, Shanti, Sagar? No? Yes? Anybody? Silence is not golden. Yeah, please feel free to ask questions. If you want me to repeat certain thing, yes, please go ahead. I'll go ahead and repeat that. Yeah, it's not a problem. So AWS has something called as marketplace. Yeah, AWS Marketplace offers vendors self-service listings. So mostly, if you would like to set up an application, if you'd like to set up an application in your organization, and what you have to do is purchase the license, purchase the server, purchase the application, and then start deploying it in your organization. That takes quite a lot of time. So a marketplace is there where you can do all of these steps in one single step. You do not have to purchase the license, you do not have to purchase the app software or the server, all in one place. So marketplace helps to quickly subscribe to a solution, make the payment quickly as well, and that will be done as you go. But if you actually go and purchase a software, let's say antivirus for that matter, you might have purchased antivirus for your laptop or a desktop, isn't it? What you have to do is go and pay for it, say $100 or $150 or whatever. But you have to pay it all in once, regardless of whether you use it, install it or not. You have to pay it. But here in Amazon Web Services, you can purchase an application, purchase a software, um, and then pay for it depending on how much you use it. Only on the number of hours, number of months, or annually, you can pay accordingly. So if you want to test a software for about 5 months, nobody's gonna give that to you for free. Amazon Marketplace almost does that, it almost does that by letting you pay hourly, monthly, or annually. So if you want to test a software, test a business application, test a developer tool, or a piece of software infrastructure, you can test that by paying on hourly basis or monthly basis. You do not have to pay for the entire license. Got it? Okay, great. The question was from Shanti. So Shanti, are you okay with that? Okay, good. This is the Gartner chart that I was referring to. Now, this is something that compares all of the vendors of cloud and tells them where they are. There are 4 quadrants here. The first quadrant is challengers. The second one is leaders. That's very dull. So as you see on the top right hand side, Amazon Web Services is on the leaders. It is followed by Microsoft. Why do we have 2 different charts here? One of them is from 2014. The next one is from 2015, May 2015. So the top right hand quadrant is from Amazon Web Services, which is a leader in the cloud as far as infrastructure as a service is concerned, right? The next one is followed up by Microsoft. A quick question for everybody. Which one of these cloud vendors, or rather put it this way, um, what is the name of the cloud service provided by Microsoft? We know that from Amazon, it's called as Amazon Web Services. What is the name of the cloud that is given by Microsoft? You can put that in the chat or unmute yourself and say it. Oh, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, okay. Sagar says Azure. Yes, it is A-Z-U-R-E. It's A-Z-U-R-E. So it's called as Azure. Okay. Amazon calls it as Amazon Web Services, and similarly, there are lots of companies that have come up, follow the NIST standards and create their own cloud computing platform. So there is Rackspace, there's DigitalOcean, Amazon Web Services, IBM. It's just too many of them in the market, but then the top ones are Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. Yeah. This is the quadrant from 2016. Amazon Web Services is still on the top. Microsoft is following it. As you see, the distance between Microsoft and AWS has come down a little bit. Google is there in the visionaries. There are still niche players on the bottom left-hand side. VMware, IBM, Rackspace, and so many others. Any questions? Q&A. Okay, so with that, we come to an end of day 1 of AWS session. Tomorrow, I will let you or help you create the AWS accounts. There are certain expectations from my side as well. I really want to keep it more interactive, talk to you people, hear you as to what your concerns are, what your challenges are. So this is a real core technical session. So I really want people to be interactive, try it out and bring their challenges forward so we can solve it. And the entire purpose of this training is that you take away a lot of these things from the training and then apply it back in your real life or in your offices, wherever you are. So that way it will be most beneficial to you. Any questions? Thank you. Okay, with that we come to an end of today's session. We'll see you again tomorrow same time. We'll have Joe send the link to you. Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.